Welcome back, everybody, to the XBA. We got the finale of the off-season. We already know where everybody's drafted, who they drafted, and now it's time to take a look at player progression, free agency, and we got some big names here coming up on the board for this round of free agency. We had a little bit of a twist that we added to this mix.
Yes, so if you guys were on Twitter, you noticed that by rule, according to the commissioner, which he makes by fiat, by executive
Gold
fiat.
Glover the ninth.
He says that every team had to drop post-progression one of their top 8 players. So guys, this is going to be a pretty good class. And basically the rules are going to be similar to what they were the last time. The non-playoff teams get the first bite at the apple. And once they're done signing, quote-unquote, their players, the teams that made the playoffs then get a chance to sign the guys that they want. So we're going to start with the best players on the board. Either the highest rated or the most coveted players will go first, and that's going to be how we do it. So guys, we use the Wheel of Destiny. You guys know how this works, because
spin that wheel, baby.
And obviously the reason we do that is because our system can't really function in the game. So we do need to throw in this, and that's going to be an element of chance involved.
It takes us out of the equation a little bit. We don't want to be on the hook for favoring certain teams or not favoring certain teams, so we rely on the Wheel of Destiny.
Yeah, now keep in mind too, guys, next season the free agent class is going to get even better. Basically everybody that was drafted outside of the top 5 in the initial fantasy draft is going to be up for grabs. So we have a whole re-sign program there too. Thinking about maybe live streaming that one.
Could do
That'll
that.
be a big night for everybody involved. So
Yep.
Let's get into it though.
All right, so the first on the board is Obi Toppin from Dayton. So we didn't have him last season, so that he would be in this year. He was apparently playing in Europe.
Yeah. That's a good.
We'll just go with that. But I'm anxious to see where he's going to go. We got a lot of these non-playoff teams up on the board, and
The New Orleans.
Yes.
No, it's
Detroit. They needed a big-time player like this. This is great.
Well, they got rid of Belizia last year, and now they get Obi Toppin to play power forward. Dennis Smith Jr., the Jacks let him go because he was playing with Smart and St. Patrick. So, guys, a lot of teams that need a point guard on the list here, and he's going to go to Washington. That's huge.
Wow. That's a very, very big get for the Washington Founders now that they've got a nice guard combo with Schroeder, Smith Jr. Pair that up with James Vine. It's going to be good down there.
Yeah, going to get a lot of minutes. Tristan Thompson, an 80 overall center. Montreal really had no use for him, so they decided to part ways with him. And Vancouver. Vancouver, now they drafted Chizoba, but they still really needed a center. So every team on this wheel here needed him.
Pretty funny. Tristan Thompson can't get out of Canada.
I guess not. You have Enes Kanter here. The Founders parted ways with him after drafting Vine, and he's going to go to New York.
That's actually not a bad fit.
Yeah, there you go. Christian Wood, now a late blooming power forward. He kind of still got some youth to him there. Let go by the Cyborgs, and he's going to go to Los Angeles. He's going to go to the Leopards. So the Leopards get another sort of young guy. Andrew Wiggins. Progression's not been kind to Andrew Wiggins. I think he's a little bit underrated right now, but he's a 77, and the Leopards parted ways with him. And he's going to Atlanta.
Of course. Of course he's going to Atlanta. Now this team is absolutely stacked. They're just loaded. It's like Sobchak's getting some Stafford treatment here. How many weapons do you need, Sobchak, in order to get onto a winning team?
I like Atlanta heading into next year. They got one of the deepest benches. Now here we have, if I say this right, Onyeka Okongwu, who is one of the top prospects entering this year's class in real life, and he is going to sign with the Nashville Tempo.
Getting younger.
So he's young. He's got youth on his side. He'll be a good building piece for the Tempo. And we should note all of these free agents are signing 3-year deals. Everybody wants to be signed for 3 years. But good addition for Nashville. I don't know if they're a sleeper, but they're young. And that's a positive thing. So moving on here, we have another guy who was not in our draft class, our initial roster, Isaac Okoro from Auburn, and then apparently Europe, and he's going to the El Paso Peppers.
Okay, that's a pretty good addition for the El Paso Peppers. Now the question is, who did they cut? Who did the Peppers cut?
Well, they cut Facundo Campazzo. So
there you go.
I guess it'll work out. Ricky Rubio leaving the Miami Night Owls. That was a big move.
Yeah, I mean, they drafted Phoenix Wah, and they have Artem Kozlov, so where's Ricky Rubio fit in that mix? He's a little bit older. Well, he's now going to be going to the Las Vegas Jacks, who did, in fact, lose Dennis Smith Jr. So they replaced Smith Jr. with Rubio.
Yeah, different type of point guard.
Yeah,
He'll be good to pair up with St. Patrick.
I was just going to say that.
Here's your guy. Jaleel Okafor was let go by the St. Louis Arrows, and he is going to go to BC Chicago.
Yeah, he was really the kind of the odd man out. You know, I like my big guys. I like Okafor on that team that led us all the way to the Western Conference champions, led us to the XBA finals. But you know, he had to be cut.
Now we got Larry Nance Jr., Wisconsin Bandits, letting him go. And of all these teams, they need a center. The City Slickers need one really bad, but it's going to go to the Neptunes, New Orleans.
So we're starting to slim down on all of the non-playoff teams here. So we're going to start getting down to the wire, down to the nitty-gritty. So, hey, what's up with this one? We got two people up on here for Alex Len.
Alex Len, the City Slickers or the Fly Guys to be a center, and he's probably going to start for the City Slickers. Fly Guys, he would have been the number 2 guy, but he'll be a good fit, I think, for New York and kind of their new look system, but they need some help. They got Looney and Birch at center, so maybe Len will start. Justice Winslow was let go by the Dragons. He'll be a good get for a team looking for a 6th or 7th man.
It was a very tough call for them to get rid of Justice Winslow for sure, but if he's going to go to the new team, the Honolulu Riptide, they need some extra, some youth there, right?
Need some oomph on the bench.
Yeah, some oomph, yeah, some electricity there. But Landry Shamet was cut. He was the odd man out for Kentucky. He helped them out big time, but he's going to end up going to the Carolina Fly Guys to pair up with LeBron, Benji Adams.
He can get a lot of minutes in Carolina. Kentucky had an excess at shooting guard, so he'll be a good fit for Carolina. I think Carolina's a team that wants to win now, so
they better.
Yeah.
They got one of the GOATs of the entire game. They better be in win-now mode. We got Trey Lyles up on the board here. He was formerly a Phoenix Monster.
Starting power forward for Phoenix, and they decided to move on. He's going to Columbus, so he'll be the number 2 power forward for the Basket Hounds. Now we have Jordan Clarkson let go by Tampa Bay. They didn't have much of a choice. There's either him or Osman or somebody like that.
Plus, they got Batadze down in XBA 2 coming up too. Got to make room for him. He might not be playing the same position, but still a good player. We got him going to Phoenix now. Jordan Clarkson will pair up with Lonzo Ball and Devin Booker. So this is going to be a good offense now for Phoenix. They've also got Middleton, Chris Middleton.
All right, Devin Vassell, a guy that, again, was not in our initial roster, so we added him. Going to Alaska.
Boo.
So that'll be a good young player for the Chill.
Boo.
They need some help. Chill. They need some help. They need to get younger. They let go of Zach Randolph, as we'll see. So getting younger is important for Alaska. Aaron Holiday let go by the Kansas City Stampede. We got a 2-team deal here between the Supernovas and the Cannons, and he's going to go to the Baltimore Cannons. Aaron Holiday. All right, we are almost out of non-playoff teams here, so the playoff teams are coming up. They're bringing up the rear. Let's see. But first off, Alex Caruso dropped by the Neon. Let's see where he ends up going.
I'm hoping the Tampa Bay Sting. It's looking like that's where he's going to go. So that's good that they lost Clarkson and then they pick up Caruso. It's just part of that competitive balance. Now, it might not make sense because they're cutting guys and then they're up on the board for same positional players. But, you know, it's all for balance.
You never know who you're going to get.
This is funny, though. We got Rodney Hood. Where's he going to go? SoCal.
I wonder.
So
the final playoff team off the board, SoCal Supernovas picked last, and they get Rodney Hood, but they needed the guards, so that'll help. Now, the playoff teams are finally up, and the top player left on the board is Will Barton at small forward, can do a little bit of everything, and he's going to Denver.
Go figure. Denver likes their veterans.
And they like Will Barton in Denver, I guess.
He can't leave the state.
Nope. Jeremy Grant, Jacksonville Jump, dropped Jeremy Grant, a 77 overall power forward. A lot of teams on the board here could use his services, and he is going to go to the Boston Pilgrims. I saw St. Louis on there, and they do not get Jeremy Grant. That could happen.
That's all right. That's all right. He's a pretty solid player, but we're waiting for something else.
Now, the Neptunes had a boatload of guards. They drafted LaBelle coming up the ranks. Terrence Ross going to the Cyclones. Terrence Ross will help them out from beyond the arc there. Okay. Bruce Brown let go by the Baltimore Cannons. Let's see where he's going. Shooting guard. Now, is that the Night Owls or the Stampede? Oh my God.
Come on. The Night Owls are always getting screwed by stuff, I feel like. Man, that's a tough break. But Bruce Brown, pretty good offensive player. He'll add to that need.
Yeah. Now we have Jacob Evans, the third, dropped by Atlanta. He's going to go to Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh got a different guard, bit younger too, a little more upside than Rodney Hood. So Pittsburgh did okay there with Jacob Evans, the third. Now Doug McDermott.
Dougie.
If you want a forward that can shoot the 3-ball, you're going for McDermott, and he's going to Miami.
Okay.
So we talk about Miami's offense all the time.
Yep. But still, St. Louis, we lost Dwayne Wade and Jamal Crawford. We would have loved to have Dougie McDermott in that Arrows uniform, but
yeah,
not going to happen for us.
Now you have Carroll here. Not as highly rated as he used to be, and he's going to go to the Bruisers.
That's pretty fitting. It's pretty fitting. Carroll's a hustle guy, right? He's a little defensive mind. I remember fantasy basketball. He was always my stat stuffer.
Goran Dragic, point guard. Now, progression's not been too kind to him. He's now a 75, but he's got experience, and he can dish it. And he's going to the Dragons.
Dragic goes to the Dragons.
Okay.
Nice.
That's a good fit. I like that one. Okay, Reggie Jackson is between 3 teams. Jacksonville, San Jose, and Montreal want a point guard. Reggie Jackson's going to the Cyborgs.
He might actually flourish a little bit better than he did with the Seattle Martians. He might flourish out there at San Jose behind Van Vliet.
Yeah, he could. Chandler Hutchison is a 76 overall, small forward. Kentucky wants him really bad, but he's going to Jacksonville. I think he could fit in pretty good with the Jump. We'll see. Wasn't the Jump's first choice, but he's okay.
You guys like your B- players.
You have to have a lot of B- players in the XBA. Mo Harkless between Kentucky and Wisconsin.
Ooh.
Wisconsin.
Okay, all right. Yeah, steal all those players away from Kentucky. Dang it. Steal them all. Steal them all away. Every time they're up on the board, steal them away.
Josh Jackson. He's going to Kentucky, it looks like.
Where did St. Louis go?
You were holding out for a power forward.
Well, we didn't get one. We were not active in the free agent market, apparently. We had a bunch of needs. We didn't luck out, man, but now Zach Randolph, where are you going? You're either going to the Martians or the Arrows, and God, don't let us have him. Thank you.
You don't want Zach Randolph?
No, I don't want Zach Randolph.
He's not badly rated. He's 40 years old.
But he's freaking old, man. We don't want any of that.
I can't believe he's still playing. Bismack Biyombo. Okay, Houston they want a center.
Yeah.
Not a lot of great centers left on the board.
Arrows were not even considering Bismack because I'm tired of Bismack. We had him in the Nashville Tempo 2K19, and he was just not good for us.
Right.
So.
Montreal takes the top point guard left over is Facundo Campazzo. Now we have to show you guys this, okay? Just so you know what's going on.
Yeah, you have to, even though the Wheel of Destiny is 1 for 1 there, but yeah, Jonah Bolden.
It's a formality.
Yeah, he's a young guy. He was actually traded, and now we get him, so it's fine. It works out. Jonah Bolden.
All right, that'll do it for free agency now. Okay, let's move on to progression now. We have something interesting with XBA 2, by the way. Our progression sliders for XBA 2 were moved up by 10 points each in every category. So the standard, I guess, is 75. XBA 2, we set it to 85. So if you played a full season in XBA 2, you get a little bit of a progression bump.
Which is exactly what we wanted.
Yes.
Because XBA 2 is supposed to be a little bit more of a developmental type of league, and we definitely want more custom prospects that you guys are going to be seeing too this year in year 3, of course. So
yeah, so you guys see the big movers and shakers. Let's start with the custom prospects. I see EJ Sanders +5. You had Maddox Denham for the River Cats is +6. Trevor Kelly +6. Charles Burns +5. Paxton gets +7. Wow,
that's big time. He's definitely going to be on the champions, the Kentucky Colliers. One thing I want to mention here is Alejandro Sanchez had a +8. He's up to a 77, so he really balled out down with Memphis, and he's actually going to be called up to the Nashville Tempo. What's interesting now is you have a situation where they had drafted Wyatt Price. Where does he go now? Where does he fit in with Alejandro Sanchez seeing this big of a boost?
Yeah, and even some of the guys that were late first, early second rounders from last year who did not play a huge role in the XBA. They also got a big bounce playing in XBA 2. AJ Alston's going to be with Montreal this year, +5. Daquan Bowers gets up to a 70. Giovanni Coxum is going to make the roster for the California Dragons. Anton Seeger as well will make the roster with the Bandits at 75 overall. Just going down the list, I saw Kevin Banks +6. Stanislav Floka +4. Bruno Versace +7. That was big.
That was going to be one that I was going to mention too. Is Bruno, the point guard for Washington now. So he's definitely good enough now to get that call up and earn a spot on that rebuilding Washington Founders team. Now you got Prince Jr. there at a +6. He's to a 70 now, which is nice to see. And then Hassan Saka from Nigeria, I believe. Kenya. So the other one was Omar Jakande from Nigeria. So yeah, so Saka up to a 75. That's going to be big for the Baltimore Cannons. And then one of my favorite players from last year's draft, Zach Burton from Duke, a +6 now to a 71. I don't know if that's going to be quite good enough to be on the Bruisers' big squad, but we'll have to see. We'll see what happens there. All right, guys, now that we've actually covered free agency, we've taken a look at the top guys, we've seen where they're going to go, we've talked about player progression, some notable players that we wanted to cover. Now we're going to go over some select few teams that we think that you guys might be interested in knowing how the team's looking. So, of course, being a user team, we're going to talk about the Arrows first. Austin Rivers actually going down a lot. I'm really tired of his not hitting free throws, not hitting clutch free throws, so his minutes are done.
Yeah, you got spreading the love around at point guard.
Yeah, we got Donovan Mitchell can play point guard a little bit. Obviously, Buddy Mayer was our top draft pick, and then we've got EJ Sanders who could come up there eventually. So we got Cassius Winston, some good young point guards on our system. But this is a notable change here for Nasir Little. So he really progressed from last season. Grant Williams up to a 78. So it's a pretty balanced and loaded team. Gary Trent up there from XBA 2 at a 77. So we're looking pretty solid. You got Winston there also at a 74. We're going to be pretty darn good again.
Okay, so not too much has changed here for the Jacksonville Jump. Steph Curry sitting at 97 still at age 33. So he's going into his age 34 season. Shooting guards, interesting because we'll have Nikhil Alexander-Walker along with Sylvester Forbes. Harry Giles III will take over for Jared Grant at power forward. So I like him too at his age. I think he could be pretty good there. Hutchinson's coming in this year as well, along with Ed Davis.
We talk about a Western Conference team that really was giving us a hard time, the Arrows a hard time there in the Western Conference Finals. The San Jose Cyborgs, this is a team that looks pretty good yet again. You've got Van Vliet there, Anthony Edwards, Paul George, same cast and crew. Steven Adams at an 82, always a good center in 2K. And then, of course, Will Walsh, a guy that I'm looking to have a big season this year, coming into his second year as a pro from Villanova.
Yeah, only got 3.4 per game as far as minutes, 6.1. So he was picked 35th overall. So obviously he wasn't going to step in right away and be a huge factor. But I think this year you might see more of him at shooting guard. You see his minutes are up. Now, according to Las Vegas, guys, the favorites to win the XBA championship this year, and the closest thing we have right now to a super team, because Hassan Whiteside's overall is now an 88. Morant and Doncic looking really good there. You think the weakness though might be on the bench? I'm not sure. They got DeAndre Jones, which was a pretty good pick from where they were going, 35th overall out of Georgetown. Backup point guard could be a problem. They signed Bruce Brown. I think the bench might be the undoing. But as they keep it mostly contained to the starting five, what do you think?
I think they're going to be another tough team. Now, they got bounced in the first round by the Houston Lawmen, but, you know, flukes happen. Flukes happen, especially to teams that are really good like KC. So, naturally, most of the time, those types of teams, they come back, they bounce back, they come back with a fury. And I might be picking KC to win the whole thing this year.
Now, here's a team I expect to get a lot of interest in the early going. The former Dallas Barons, now going out west to Honolulu. Do you think this is a playoff team?
I think they're fringy. They're definitely fringy. Now, we've been talking about the Honolulu Riptide / Dallas Barons as a potential team that, you know, could surprise. And when in year 2, I was thinking that Dallas might take a step forward, but they were terrible again. And for whatever reason, they just have not like meshed. They haven't meshed as a unit. They haven't meshed as a team, but they've got some pretty decent players here. They now acquiring Justice Winslow, drafting Orlando Champion. These are some winning type of moves, and they could surprise some people. But look at the minutes per position. Like, that's a nice even spread. This could be a team that actually finally surprises.
How about the New York Neon? One of the bottom dwellers last season. Definitely a lottery team. Conley got hurt with an ACL injury, but he's back here. They got RJ Hampton. They're going with a bigger lineup this year with Tobias Harris, Zach Collins, and then Cantor will start at center. So, and then you got Kemmerly coming up through here.
Cantor was a good get for him, but I just don't think that team is enough to be a playoff team this year. They're an interesting team with Bonga getting called up from Hartford, and then you've got Van Casey from Duke, and of course you cannot mention this team without mentioning CJ Kemmerly, but you know, he's going to get his minutes. He's going to get his opportunity to shine. Now, what kind of people would we be if we did not include the XBA champions in this little team preview, right? Kentucky Colliers, Garland, Savage, Ingram, Parker. It's still going to be a pretty darn good team to beat this season. Anthony Davis, he's still going to be a force to be reckoned with. And you've got Savage, they're getting a +1 in progression to a 79. I feel like that's a little bit of a snub. I don't know what's up with that. He was a key cog.
There's a team that I'm liking that's not getting, doesn't seem like they get too much preseason love, but the New Orleans Neptunes. You guys can't forget that this was a playoff team last year. Juan Orgata was one of the best rookies in the class last season. 14 points per game, only 2 assists, but he was picked 22nd overall last year. I think he'll do good. Beverly can move over to play shooting guard with Kawhi, Bagley, Thomas Bryant, and it's a little guard heavy down here, which is, I think that's a good thing for this Neptune squad. How about the Alaska Chill? They were kind of a downer last year, but do you think they're gonna come back and with a vengeance and make the playoffs this year?
I'm gonna say no.
No?
I'm gonna say no again. I think that they're gonna miss again this season. I don't know what that was. I mean, looking at their roster as it stands this season for year 3, when we look at that run that they had in year number 1, I just really think that the team got onto a little bit of a hot streak, which helped them push all the way to an XBA Finals championship. But when we look at the team and we look at the bench here, like, cool, they got a pile of steel, right? He's going to be a force. But we look at the guard. We can look at the guard play. Simons, Brooks, Porter Jr., they're good players. Is it going to be enough to get them over the top? I mean, they've got an aging Lou Williams. Gilgeous-Alexander is a good player. He's an 84, right? He's going to be a solid player for him again. But Jonathan Isaac, Dwight Powell, like, it's pretty much a two-man show, in my opinion, between Antetokounmpo and Gilgeous-Alexander. Lou Williams is going downhill. This is not a team I'm liking for this season.
Okay, Phoenix Monsters. Now, this is a sleeper team that if they caught a couple more breaks over the last 2 years, I'm pretty sure they would have been in the postseason. But they've missed 2 years in a row, kind of in that 9 to 11 range in the Western Conference, which is usually only a couple games out of the 8 spot. So I'm looking at Lonzo Ball. Could be one of the top assist guys at point guard. Jared Vanderbilt, who was called up from XBA to Tucson, got a big boost last season, and he's only 22. So him coming up with or through Tucson, I think it can be big.
I like this team more than I do Alaska, for being quite honest. I mean, we've got Jordan Clarkson here, he's a 78, but he was a really good player for the Sting. We got Andrew Gregory from Kentucky, who was a nice player for them on the national championship team. Jake Jallow. This is a pretty solid team. This is a Phoenix Monsters team that I think will make the playoffs for the first time in their franchise history. How can you go wrong with this team? Look at that bench, that starting lineup there with Middleton, and of course Devin Booker. This is a good team, man. Watch out for them.
Let's check out the Dragons. They kind of got a raw deal in the playoffs with Kemba Walker going down. Hard to say if they would have gone on to upset San Jose in that series, but you see Malachi Hendricks is up to an 83 overall. Really, the choice for them to drop it was between Bogdanovich and Winslow. So they sided with holding on to Bogdanovich. I mean, they got a couple of good bigs. Dragic is back at point guard will help them out in their quest to get back to the postseason.
The Founders, one of my favorite teams in the entire XBA. Dennis Smith is going to be their starting point guard outside of Dennis Schroeder. He's going to be on the bench this year to start off. And we got Buddy Hield, DeMar DeRozan, Sean Holmes, an 84. James Vine is going to start too. So this team is now on the up and up. And they look like they might be pretty solid. They'll improve this season. There's no way that they don't win more games.
Yeah,
there's no way.
I think the playoffs will be a stretch, especially with their bench in the shape that it is in. But I will say that I do believe this team could kind of creep into that conversation where they're looking at maybe an 8 seed, maybe playing competitive basketball in the month of March, which would be a big deal for Washington.
One of my other favorite teams in the entire XBA, the Nashville Tempo. We talked about this. What is the dynamic going to look like here between Sanchez Jr. and Wyatt Price? Well, Price can play both positions. I think Sanchez can too. But Sanchez, Sanchez is more of a point guard anyway, right?
He's a distributor.
He is definitely that. He's going to be the assists machine. Wyatt Price is a shooter, as Keneal would say, and he's going to be fitting pretty nicely in that shooting guard spot. The time split there will probably help this team out between Sanchez and Price. They can swap out. Price can play some point guard there too. But then when we look at the rest of the team, of course, Tyus Jones coming over from the St. Louis Arrows. I think we upgraded at point guard over the last few years. But it's a team that still needs some work. Obviously, with Kevin Durant, you're going to be relying on him. But it's nice to see that they got another offensive piece with Price and Sanchez on this team.
Now, they came in last place in the Western Conference last year. I'm interested to see if they can compete for an 8 seed. And it's a tough call, but we'll see if they can do it. But Chicago, now, we talked them up big time last year. They beat Alaska on opening night, and everybody thought Chicago was set for a big breakout season. It didn't come.
I don't know why it didn't come. Because when we look at this lineup, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing other than Wayne Cartwright. Is this the piece that was missing from that team? Could be. They're very guard heavy. We've talked about that at length. Adding a forward of his caliber, Wayne Cartwright might be the guy to help him out. If you got Devontae Graham there as a 6 man, this might be a more depth type of team than we saw last year.
Now, the young basket hounds, okay, these guys almost shocked the world in season 1 by sneaking into the playoffs, but they finished a game short. Then last season, they were in prime position to make the playoffs and had an epic collapse down the stretch over the final 2 weeks of the year. I believe they won 1 game. So, is this finally going to happen for this young squad?
It's hard to say. It really is hard to say. I like what they did in the offseason. I like what they did with drafting Bernard Colvin. That's going to be a good pick for them for adding some electricity off the bench. He's a big-time dunk guy. Loves to make those flashy-looking plays. If we see him up on the screen here, we finally do. But thanks, Colvin. Thanks for making your appearance here. But yeah, this is a solid team. They got a lot of guards. They got Josh Beaver from Australia, I should say. But yeah, good team out in the East. I hope that it ends up working for them. Trey Lyles being a nice addition. I don't know. It is hard to say, but you look at their starting lineup, they've got a lot of good overalls that you would think that this team's definitely a playoff-bound team. I don't know why that they underperform.
All right, let's turn to one of my favorite sleepers in the Eastern Conference, the Atlanta Olympians. I think these guys, depending on the breaks, I think they could threaten for a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference.
I would go a little bit lower than that. I'd just say top 4. I think that injuries happen. Obviously, some crazy things have happened to this team in the past. Now, this is a team that without Jamal Turner in the mix, this was still a good team. This was still a good team even last year. and we weren't sure what was going on, why Sobchak was kind of underperforming in gameplay. Now in sim, he's a monster, but for whatever reason in gameplay, he doesn't do much. That's just the narrative that's thrown out there. But adding Jamal Turner and adding Andrew Wiggins, and then getting Sobchak in year 2 of his XBA career, I would agree with you. I think this is a playoff caliber team out in the East. But when we're talking about number 1, number 2, I'm not going to go that far. I will say top 4. You're going top 3. I think we're right around the same spot.
Yeah, what do you think about the Jacks this year? Are they going to make it? They also, like Columbus, had a collapse down the stretch to miss the playoffs.
I think they're just good enough to get in that 7 or 8. I don't think they're going to make it again, though.
Really?
I don't think they're going to make it. I know Jokic is obviously the big-time guy. Paolo St. Patrick is, taking that next leap. They're a deep team. They're a very deep team. I mean, look at this. You got, not even going to attempt to pronounce that name, but we got Williams there, 79, Basia, 77, Moore, 75, Rubio, 70. It's a deep team. RJ Jacobith there, he's a little underrated at 74. He's going to be a player for them. Yeah, they could. I don't think that they're a perennial Western Conference team.
It's just the West is so hard to call.
Yeah, I would say a sneaky team, very sneaky team. Fringe team, though, might be 7 or 8 seed.
Now, how about the City Slickers? Are they primed for a shocker? Now, they finished in the cellar, ended up grabbing Marcus Anthony in the top 5. So he's going to get the starting nod. We're a little partial towards our custom prospects, but LaMelo's going to get his minutes. But what about the starting 5? Are they going to be good enough to make a push?
You could make the argument of getting Bledsoe out of there, a little older, but
he's Eric Bledsoe, though.
He's Eric Bledsoe, exactly. That's you gotta give him the nod. Marcus Anthony doesn't want to play shooting guard with his former head coach, actually, well, current head coach now, but both those guys were hooked up at Virginia Tech. You got Jarrett Payton as the new head coach in City Slicker Blue.
That's what I'm interested in the most. Is what kind of effect is that going to have? Is it going to be immediate, or is it going to take a while? Now, Baltimore Cannons, you guys see some new jerseys there. They also ditched the silver for white, so their whites are actually pretty clean. I will say that. But now this team, it's got a couple fans out there, but they aren't one of the fan favorites. From what I can gather, but are they going to come out in full force this year and acquire fans through how good they play? That's the question.
It's actually a pretty darn good offense. When I look at this offense, I see a lot of points up on the board. Al Horford's a good big man. You got Wiseman playing center. I mean, DJ Anthony's a good offensive player. Like, this team's pretty good. Thompson, Rose again.
Looking for Hassan Saka there.
They could surprise. They could surprise. I remember you were always making fun of the Cannons because they always gave Jacksonville kind of a hard time. Yeah, they're kind of like your meme team. Your meme team, the Jump's meme team.
I want people to care about the Cannons. That's all.
Well, I think the jersey changes will help.
Well, our season 1, we screwed them over because they were in the tip-off game against Dallas, and then they didn't show up for 6 more episodes. So that we might have hurt their standing with the fans. I'm going to change that this year.
We might have done them dirty. We can't not talk about the Philadelphia Bruisers, guys. This was a team that was red hot all the way through the entire season until the very last month, where they just fell apart. I don't know if it was injuries. I don't know if it was just lag. I don't know if it was just fatigue. I mean, they were really relying on young guy, the rookie Malik Jones. He had a good year, but I think it got to him a little bit. The pressure.
Yeah. Could very well be the case. I'm trying to think. There's
Preo
Michael.
Brzezinski.
Okay.
Preo, look at, just split it up. Preo Brzezinski.
Yeah, it's still hard. Still hard. But Philadelphia, do you think they're gonna be one of the top teams again, or are they gonna collapse and be the 8th seed and/or miss the playoffs? What do you think? What's your prediction for Philly?
I think they're going to be a playoff team this year, and I don't think that they're going to collapse. I think that this team is just too good looking. They got Favors, Turner, Jones, Fox. It's a solid team. I think Jones is going to take a next step. He's going to be even better in year 2, and I think that learning curve is something that you account for in year 1, and year 2 for myleague will be a lot better.
All right, the last team I think we're going to preview here today, the Montreal Gatiques. Now, here's a team. It's kind of gotten a raw deal, I feel like, in the first round of the last 2 years. They got bounced in year 1. They were the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, which didn't mean a whole lot, but just the fact that they were #1, and they lost the 8th seed in New York Neon. Last year, they were in control of the series against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And lost the final 2 games to get bounced in 7. So,
is this a team that just doesn't come through in the clutch? That's the question.
Or is this their year?
Or that. Or that. It's a good team again in the East. You got Rudy Gobert in 89, and the bench is pretty darn good.
Now, I'm interested in the center situation because they got Luka Samanic, who I guess is going to be filling in at center. They also got Justin Patton and AJ Alston. So they let go of Tristan Thompson. And Gobert's going to take up most of the minutes. But, I mean, the rest of the starting lineup's 80+. So I think they're in a good spot.
Yep, I would agree with that.
El Paso Peppers. All right, Kobe White's up to an 84 overall now. Pretty solid across the board. The one question mark that I'm going to have is at power forward. They're going with the rookie Nikos, and I know he was good for a college player. Is he going to be able to step in and be a factor right away?
He was so solid in all categories. He can rebound well. He can pass well. He can dunk it. He can hit from 3. He can hit tough shots going into the lane. Like, he's a good defensive player too. Like, he's just all around just a very solid player. Think a little bit of Jaren Jackson-esque guy that can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But it's kind of what this team needs. There's a lot of finesse that happens with the Peppers. Nikos would be a nice little change up.
I like their bench too. They got a very strange bench. So I'm excited to see what the Peppers do this year. Okay, so this is the part where we make some predictions, and we want to hear what you guys have to think about how the teams line up, who you think is going to do what. But yeah, just let us know. We got to go on the record though of who we are going to pick for our conference winners and our XBA championship winners.
Yeah, and it was really bad. Last year was really bad for me.
Remind me why?
Because I picked El Paso and I picked Chicago. That was my finals. Yep. They might not have been, I don't remember if they were my conference winners or not, but they were definitely the 2 teams I had.
I think I picked Detroit or somebody weird.
Going into the finals, yeah. So it was pretty bad. But, okay. Reset button. Here we are, year 3. What team do I like in the Western Conference? Well, when we look at the list here, that's not sorted correctly.
There's no wins and losses.
I know, but power rankings wise, no, I think you got to go with KC as #1. Yeah, I'm going to say that Kansas City is going to go all the way this season. They're going to win the Western Conference. They're going to make it all the way to the XBA Finals. Okay. I look at these other teams on the Western Conference. Yes, they're pretty darn good. Houston should be up there again. California, you would think, with their additions. St. Louis will be solid again. San Jose could challenge. Maybe
Martians seem like they're tough on defense.
Yeah, they've got a lot of big guys.
Drummond and Porzingis, yeah. So, Seattle's going to be tough. I feel like the Neptunes are a sleeper.
I'm going with KC to win the West.
That's a safe pick.
And going all the way.
I'll go a little bit different and say San Jose. San Jose is my Western winner. So now if we switch over to the Eastern Conference, so it's alphabetical by team name, okay? Who do you got this year? Now, Wisconsin, we didn't talk about Wisconsin in depth, but they were the #1 seed last year. Any thought of a repeat, or is it going to be one of these mid-level teams that acquired a couple pieces and they rock it up there like Wisconsin did last year?
Tough call if we go down a little bit. Tough call. You could go with chalk. You could say Kentucky, but I'm not going to do that.
I don't think they're going to repeat.
Do you get sneaky and do you say Atlanta? Do you get sneaky and you say Atlanta? I can't pick them to win the East because I said that they were going to finish in 4th.
They could come out of it, though. Why not?
They could.
Seeds don't matter. It's the XBA.
It's true. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, though. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh that wins the East. I don't think they go to the finals, though. I would say the team that goes to the finals, if we go up a little bit, because none of those teams are there. The finals, the finals.
Philly?
No, I'm not. I can't go with Philly.
Pick Philly.
No, I can't. I'm gonna go with the Colliers again.
Seriously?
I can't pick the Colliers to win the East. I'll go with Pittsburgh wins the East, but I'll go with the Colliers go back to the finals. So it's gonna be Kentucky and Kansas City for me.
Oh my God! No limb taking there.
What?
You're not walking out on a limb there.
I'm just being honest.
Well, okay, whatever. But you do something interesting. Okay. Well, I took San Jose. That means I got to pick a random team out of the Eastern Conference. I think I took Detroit last year. I don't remember. Tampa Bay Sting. Fly Guys. I think it's going to be LeBron.
Really?
Yeah. I think the Fly Guys are going to be like 6'7", and they're going to squeak out of there.
You think they did enough?
Landry Shamet?
I've noticed something though about the XBA playoffs. It usually takes like one star player just to get hot, and then they just win. They just reel off a bunch of wins. Yeah. So I don't know. You could be right.
So I'm going Cyborgs, Fly Guys. You've got
Stampede and Colliers.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let us know what you guys have, and let us know definitely who your sleepers are.
I got burned last year, man. I went out on a limb and I got burned. I got absolutely roasted.
So guys, we are going to see you for the season openers. Atlanta at Kansas City, SoCal at New York, and then after that, not long after that, we will have a 16-game Palooza for the season openers. Not all of these games will be shown. We're going to space that out over the course of a calendar week. So, I love this game. We will be showing this game.
Heck yeah, both states outside of the continental United States. You got to love that matchup, man.
That's perfect. That is perfect.
Alaska, Honolulu. Love it.
Yep. So we're going to show a handful of these games and then stretch it out towards the end of the week here. So, but yeah, we will be having the season openers. So I'm excited to kick this one off.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, guys. Atlanta, KC. You like Atlanta this year? I'm not so sold on them quite yet, but I really like KC. Good opening matchup there. And then, of course, SoCal and New York. Two teams that, I don't know, they got a little bit of a fan base, a little bit of fanfare, but, you know, we'll see that matchup, see how CJ's going to do.
That one's the dessert, and that's the main course.
Yes. So we'll see you guys in the opening week for the XBA in year number 3. Guys, leave a like if you like this thing. We will see you in the next one. As always, peace.